What if you were checking hammocks in like deserted islands or
I'm out.
or the cold places?
Nope.
Cold places.
Right.
Why would you put up a hammock in a cold place?
Inside.
Why would you put a hammock in a cold place?
Hey, Chris. Hey, Gabrielle. How are you guys doing?
Hey, how you guys?
Hey, gents, how's tricks?
We are doing well. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us on the Movie Podcast today. We absolutely adore this show. We're so excited to talk about it.
Well, big Canadian presence on this show.
Right.
Oh.
Only the kindest, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chris, we've never seen someone so excited to receive $4 stapled together as a gift. So thank you so much for that.
It's a good gift. I stand by that.
Comes in
It's
handy.
better than most gifts I've received.
Now, for both of you, would you ever try the Morpho machine, and what do you hope it would say? And Gabrielle, we'll start with you.
Well, I would be very apprehensive to try anything that asks for my social security number and fingerprints, and you're not going to tell me anything about where you came from. I'm like, this needs to be a two-way street. But if I were to try it, because I would be very intrigued to do it, right? There's this fear of like what the card would say. But I think I would hope that it says something. For me, I love bringing joy to people. So any kind of word that falls into that space that feels like I have a purpose to bring happiness and joy to people, that would make me very, feel very settled. But I know also the way my brain thinks, I would be confused no matter what's on the card because I would have 17 different interpretations of what it means.
Right. Chris, what about yourself?
I think I would probably try it, but I wouldn't want to tell anybody what was on the card. But personally, what I would want to be on the card, hammock tester.
Oh.
Yeah,
good.
so I would just go
It is a growing
from
business.
tropical island to tropical island, checking if the hammocks were working correctly.
But what if you were checking hammocks in like deserted islands or,
I'm out.
or the cold places?
Nope.
Cold places.
Right.
Why would you put up a hammock in a cold place?
Inside.
Why would you put a hammock in a cold place?
Just the hammocks we have here in Canada. They're very nice.
Yeah, they're winterproof.
Yes.
They're winterproof
Oh,
for sure.
of course they have.
They have to be. I know, Chris, your
I did
character...
Christmas I did winter in Toronto last winter. Oh my holy lord!
Yeah.
Gets chilly
Yes,
up there,
it
doesn't
was
it,
quite
lads?
warm.
Nope. Nope.
Chris, your character never had to really think about their happiness before the machine came to town. For both of you, did Big Door Prize make you reflect on your own happiness at all? And Chris, we'd love to start with you.
Maybe. I mean,
It's too early.
too close to the
early.
bone. I mean, it's odd, like being away doing these jobs. You're away from the family for kind of months on end. So they kind of put a lot of strain on the family to play a role where you've got a lot of strain on the family. So it definitely does kind of put your priorities into focus in terms of you're playing a character who's been told this life that you have is the greatest that you're ever going to do. You better fucking love it.
Hey, Gabrielle, how about yourself?
I think it's hard to not ask those questions. I think as viewers, everyone's going to ask those questions of themselves. You know, when I got to sit down and finally see the show, all 10 episodes, and asking those questions of all these characters and figuring out, seeing yourself through them in some kind of way, shape, or form. So for me, I definitely asked those questions about happiness and purpose and potential. And what I found most intriguing about that show is those questions that it asked. When I read the script, we were in the heart of the pandemic, right? So I feel like it kind of aligned with what was going on at that time globally. A lot of people were asking those questions and reevaluating what was important in their lives and you know, taking inventory of their life in that moment because we were faced with such this dire, you know, scary, chaotic mess in the world. So this to me kind of, when I read the script, the Morpho machine kind of was similar to me as what the pandemic represented in that moment. It had forced us to ask questions of ourselves in our situations.
It definitely did. Chris, Gabrielle, thank you both so much again for your time today. The show is wonderful. We're so happy it's coming back for another season. And all the best to both of you.
Thanks
I'm
very
so
much.
happy that you enjoyed. Thank you.
Hi, David. How you doing today?
Hey, good. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you so much for taking time with us on the Movie Podcast today. We absolutely love the Big Door Prize, and we cannot wait to talk more about it and have people watch the show as well.
No, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And we're also fellow Canadians, so we also just love to get to talk to fellow Canadians whenever we get the chance. So this is great.
Awesome.
What was it about the Big Door Prize novel that made you feel like it was the perfect story to kind of tell us a series?
I mean, I think for me, a novel that makes a perfect series is one that has a great question, a great cast of characters, and also an open-endedness to it. So this book obviously has an ending, a conclusion, and our writer's room has reopened that mystery and imagined how far we could go with this concept. But the idea of what is your potential, what if you could be told your potential, what would it do to your life? There's so many different perspectives you can have on that question, and it's so juicy for an ensemble comedy like this.
Yeah, and I think for both of us, it was one of those things that it made us also reflect on ourselves and made us think about that question. Like just like Chris O'Dowd's character, like you never really thought about it too much, and then you start feeling that way too. You start reflecting on that. So it's kudos to you guys for like really making, I think, the audience come into the story and reflect on their own lives with that as well.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something we're going for. We're not trying to give any answers or be didactic about it, but to just have people think about their lives in a different way. Even if you're happy, like Chris O'Dowd's character is at the start of the first episode, there's always that idea of another path. And what if you could be happier?
Right. No, we have to ask you, would you ever try the Morpho Machine, and what would you hope that it said?
I would. I mean, I feel like I'm doing exactly what I wanted to do. I've loved writing stories and making movies since I was a kid. And so I feel really lucky in that way. But if I were told something else, it's hard to, imagine what that might do to me. But I think it would definitely open up some curiosity if I was told I had a different potential than what I'm pursuing right now.
Did you I love that each episode also kind of adjusts the character perspective, to keep pushing the story forward. Was that something difficult that you guys had to balance when you were working on the show, and how did you work on balancing that?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want it to feel like an anthology show. I wanted it to feel like every episode, the overall story was still moving forward. And so we really used the Hubbard family for that. Dusty, Cass, and Trina, their family dynamic, that is kind of the emotional through line for the season. So even as we're introducing new characters, there's something that holds it all together. But I really worked with the directors, cinematographers, designers, and especially the composers to find a visual and musical style for each character so that you feel those shifts. When we go into Bo, the sheriff, there is this kind of like spaghetti Western theme, and we're paying homage to John Ford movies, and that it's shot in a different way than some of the other episodes because we're in that character's headspace. So that was really fun to navigate those tonal and genre shifts throughout the series.
In each episode, we love that, there's this different visual representation that you kind of have with the intro theme. So what went into this decision behind each of those openings with the character personality and what they're going through?
I mean, it's all about trying to get into that character's headspace and how they see the world and shoot it in a way that feels representative of their unique perspective and what's going on. So you have like the pilot episode, Dusty has a scooter sequence set to Usher, which is like a music video because he's just really feeling himself on his scooter on his way to school. And we're really in that headspace. And then other times it's like the framing of a character. They might be, in the lower thirds or off to one side of the frame because they're feeling isolated and lonely. And so, we're constantly thinking about how can we support through our cinematic language what that character's own take on their life, on the Morpho, on what they're going through is.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I feel like at least we've reached our full potential by getting to talk to you today. So thank you so much for that. We can't wait for people to watch this show, and have a great rest of your day, David.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.